guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, November 28th, 2025. Happy Thanksgiving. So we're seeing Thanksgiving at the Horton household and the Hernandez household. So we start off with the Horton place, right? Again, when it comes down to Jack and Jennifer Devereaux, already they grind my gears. We see Jack come in and he's talking with Julie and he's talking about how things are different this year on because, it's been a year since Doug passed and he was the one that really brought everybody together. He was the one responsible for carving the turkey. And, Julie's just beside herself as understandable, right? Because remember when she found out that Doug had passed, Jack was the one who was there for her, who really held her together. They talk about how, it's not fun no more, even though people are there, it's not fun no more. And you know, um, Jack brings up the part about Chad not being around the kids and how messy it is that him and Jennifer have to file for custody over the kids because of Chad's quote unquote negligence and Thomas suffering that injury that he did, right? So he said that he doesn't want to hurt Chad, and I'm saying you guys do know, no matter how much times you guys say, oh, I don't want to hurt Chad, you guys still ended up hurting him in the process. Like, how can you separate the father from his children, especially when he's a damn good one? So he said, he knew that Chad loved his daughter and he did right by his kids, but they just can't stand by while the kids' safety are jeopardized, right? And Julie, I definitely am not a fan of Julie, but Julie was on point in this episode where she said, you know, this is just not the way to do about it. Like, I don't really care about Chad's personal choices. Like, I have my opinions there, but like to separate the father from his kids, like, I am not in agreement of that. Like, I feel like it's just doing more harm than good. And, all we can hope is that Chad does show up and that happened, there is peace on today. So they're there waiting around. JJ ended up coming over as well. And Thomas was there earlier with Jennifer talking about he didn't really mind if his father didn't show up at all. And Charlotte is like, she want to see her dad, right? She doesn't know what's really going on. And Jennifer didn't even take the opportunity to like shut down Thomas and said, maybe let's not badmouth your father. She just kept going like, I know you're upset and, but let's just put aside for, today and all that. And I'm saying you're not trying to cut him down when he talks bad or ill of his father. Like, regardless, that is his father and he has to have some kind of respect. And Jennifer is not doing a good job of that. They're there at the Thanksgiving table and they're giving thanks. And at some point, the JJ takes the kids for Monopoly. Jennifer and Jack are upset that Chad didn't show up because they were waiting for him for a while, but they didn't hear nothing back, and they continued and hopefully he would come. So, anyways, Charlotte was upset because she wanted to see her father, and Jack and Jennifer, like, he didn't even have a courtesy to say, hey, he's coming or not. But Jack is saying maybe he feels like a pariah not coming around him. He knows how that is. And maybe he wants to stay away because of what Jeremy was suggesting. And they see Julie's phone, and you get a text from there, and seems as if he said he just saw the text and he couldn't come over, right? But honestly, who would want to come over with the likes of them, honestly, right? So I was not feeling Jennifer, Jack, or Thomas today. Honestly, they just get on my damn nerves. The part where Julie also begged Doug to just look over them and hopefully bring back peace into the family as well, right? To restore some peace into the family. But honestly, can feel for her because she lost the love of her life and it's the holidays and it's definitely rough as well. Um, JJ and Jack actually ended up carving a turkey because that was usually Doug's rule. So, it's definitely hard for Julie, and you feel for her with that. Now, earlier, JJ was in the square and he ended up talking to Gabby. Gabby had to run to get some milk, to finish up a Thanksgiving dish. And, they just take chicken in with each other. It's cordial. And she said, any plans? So he's going over to the Horton house. And she said that, they're having a small thing at the, her house, right? So Philip comes over and, Philip also tells JJ that, look, he got invited to go over to the Hernandez place for Thanksgiving. Nothing's really going over his place. And JJ is saying, good for you. And, Philip agrees to walk Gabby back over to her place, right? So you can say JJ is kind of feeling a type of way about it, but it is what it is. Gabby wishes him happy Thanksgiving, and likewise. At the Hernandez place earlier, Gabby was making soup, and that's when she ran out for milk because Rafe was looking for it as well. She did tell them last minute that Philip was coming over and that he didn't have much plans at the Kirakis place, so hopefully it shouldn't be a problem that he's coming over their place. And Rafe was just saying, no, it was just last minute, and this is really a big deal to introduce your boyfriend to your family, right? So, anyways, there's few things going on. Javi and Leo were waking up in bed talking about the holidays. At some point, Leo did mention to Rafe that he wanted to talk to him about something important, and he tells Rafe that, look, I want to propose to Javi. I need your blessing. And Rafe was also talking to him about any intel on Damaris, which he didn't really have. He's still looking. At some point, Philip also thanks Rafe and said, wanted to help in any way, whether it is, washing the plates, which he, refused because, he is the guest. And he said, I can do something. So he was really gracious as a guest. He did bring over wine as well, which they already have. They were talking about the many dishes that they had. What else? Right. So at some point they were watching the game after they had this big meal. And the best part of this was when they were sharing the pumpkin pie, and even though Javi didn't want a slice, Rave suggested he did go get a slice. Go get a slice at Leo's there with the ring, I guess his mom's ring, on top of the pie. And, he said, Javier Hernandez, like, you've really turned my life around. You've made me really happy. And I didn't know that I could be this happy. And you welcome me into your family. And I'm thankful for your family members. And, we raised a child together. It was definitely one for the books. And, I didn't know, I knew something was special about you from the day we met at a small bar. And, you just asked him, hey, will you marry me? Will you be my husband? And I'll be your husband. And Javi said, yes, I do. So the ring didn't fit, obviously. So they would try to get a different ring. And Gabby gave them a necklace, gave Javi a necklace to put the ring on, just until they get a new ring. Gabby welcomed Leo to the family, which is definitely unlike her. And she just, was saying, okay, I'm really happy for you guys. And Rafe said, look, if you hurt him, just know that I will definitely be looking into you. So it was a beautiful moment, emotional moment as well. Great scene. There was also a part where they were talking about how they are thankful for the holiday and what it means to them. And, they're all thankful for family and coming together. Philip was thankful for forgiveness after the year he's had. And he talks about loyalty. And that's when Gabby feels a type of way and she started drinking nervously. And I'm saying, boy, this relationship was doomed before it even began to start. So Kristen and Tony are having, I guess an impromptu Thanksgiving, whatever they could find in the crypt. And, even Kristen was saying the prison Thanksgiving was better with the dry turkey and the toast bread. And she's thinking about how her daughter is having Thanksgiving with Marlene and Brady. And then, Tony's talking about missing Anna, and Anna, just not having her around. And they just, are just feeling like, hey, nobody's gonna come look for them. Kristen cuts her hand and she asks for help from Tony, and Tony didn't have nothing to help her. Like, she was asking for a bandage, which, why do you think there would be any medical supply, any bandage in the crypt, Kristen? But that was funny to me. So anyways, she's thinking about maybe somebody will come on Thanksgiving to, pay respect to dearly departed. But again, we're talking about the mirrors, they're not dearly departed. So Chris is like, I guess we're stuck in here forever, right? So they're just thinking about how their family members are being affected. And Christine's thinking maybe Rachel think that she ran away when she didn't, right? She would not do that. She's very important to her. And police probably are looking for her. But Tony's skeptical about it because we already know how the Salem PD get down. So at some point they get a knock at the I guess they hear a noise or somebody coming in. And it was somebody tied up and turned out to be Chad. So I'm thinking maybe that text message is not really coming from Chad's phone, but maybe somebody took Chad. I don't know what's the end game with getting all the mirrors together, right? But anyways, guys, that was it. Really a short episode. It was a great, great moments in between. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. Let me know. Like, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys next week. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend.